Hi everyone, I'm here today with a weekly-ish sort of reading wrap-up for you. I have finished quite a few books since my last wrap-up, and that's not even counting ones that I've read this week. I'm just trying to keep to ones that I finished last weekend that I would have filmed if I'd been able to. So I'm just going to get straight into it so that this isn't a long video. The first book I finished was Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. This is the third and final book in the Dark Artifices series, which is part of the Shadowhunter world. If you don't know about this series, you either don't care or you have been living under some sort of rock, because this is a very popular YA fantasy series that is very complex and built up by many books at this point. There's not much I can say about this book that wouldn't spoil something in the whole series of books somewhere. Compared to Lady Midnight and definitely compared to Lord of Shadows, I adored this book. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I flew through it a lot quicker than I expected to. I think this is possibly my third favourite, maybe, Cassandra Clare book. First being Clockwork Princess, second being City of Glass, and then I think it might be this one. I love how complex her writing has become, how complex the world has become, and how everything's so intertwined at this point, and you're left guessing as to where the series is going to go from here, because it's just so all over the place. There's such high stakes now. Everything is really linking together. I loved this. It's just phenomenal. If you've been thinking about picking it up and been putting it off for whatever reason, and you are up to date other than this book, you need to give it a read. It's, in my opinion, a billion times better than Lord of Shadows, so if you didn't like that one, you might love this one too. So after that, I wanted to read something a lot shorter, so I picked up Fantastically Great Women Who Changed the World by Kate Pankhurst. This was a gift from Aoife over at Fred Weasley Died Laughing. I was just sort of picking this up, thinking it'll be a fun, beautiful read that might actually teach me something. So you learn little things about Jane Austen, about Coco Chanel, Marie Curie, Amelia Earhart, so many other people, Rosa Parks. There's kind of something in here for everyone. And while I'd heard of most of the people, I definitely hadn't heard of all of the people, and it was great learning about these people who I didn't know about. So, for example, I didn't know of Gertrude Ederle, who was the first woman to swim across the Channel. This was really educational, but it's also a stunning book. There's Coco Chanel's page. And I think this would be an absolutely fantastic book to give to, obviously, young girls, but also to, you know, just young children in general. They will learn so much from this book. It is just done in such a really clever way so that it's not going to be overwhelming to a child, and it's really fun. So for example, on the Amelia Earhart one, you're told to follow her flying route as you read it. I loved this. It was absolutely fabulous, and it's definitely, as I said, worth gifting to people. 4 stars out of 5. After that, I still wanted something short to carry on flying through, so I picked up The Restless Girls by Jessie Burton. This is the author who wrote The Miniaturist and The Muse. This is a children's book though, and it is just gorgeous. The outside really represents what the story is about. So this is kind of fairy tale-esque. I'm sure it's probably a retelling of something, but I can't remember right now. And you've got these sisters, and their mother has recently died, and their father, the king, has become really protective over them, and he won't let them really do anything. And the more they try to rebel against this, the more controlling he gets, and he gets to the point where he locks them in their room, basically. They one night manage to discover a secret passageway that leads them to a really kind of fun escape from their world. And I just want to show you one of my favourite pictures. So there's one of them, just absolutely gorgeous colours. I would say actually the illustrations are kind of few and far between. There's many a page where the writing's just like that. So this is quick to fly through. I think I read it in a couple of hours, and I would probably have liked to have seen a few more illustrations in it, I think. There's another gorgeous one. So overall, I absolutely loved the story of this. I think, again, it'd be a great one to give to children because it's got such a moral behind it, and it's just told in a really fun way. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because, like I said, I would probably have liked a few more illustrations in there. The next book I finished after that, I was on a roll, I'm telling you, is Eve of Man by Giovanna and Tom Fletcher. So this is a YA kind of dystopian novel about a girl named Eve. She is the last female that was born that is able to actually bear children because all the other women are now too old to have children. Her generation, it was just boys being born, boys, 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 boys. She was quite a lucky kind of almost freak of nature to have even happened because her mother had failed to have many boys and lost them at various different stages of pregnancy. So the fact that Eve made it into the world at all is quite a miracle. So she is being kind of protected in this bubble almost high above the earth in the clouds in somewhere that they kind of call the dome, and she doesn't really have any friends except for a kind of holographic person that's actually to her a girl named Holly, but it's controlled by several different boys of similar age to her, just so that they can kind of give her a fake friend almost. She's looked after by the mothers, which are essentially basically nuns, and she's not really allowed any contact with men at all because men are at this point considered sexual predators, quite frankly, who are up to no good and would, you know, abuse Eve at the first chance they got. This went in places I didn't expect it to go, and I loved this. I was hoping I was going to like it, hence why I bought a physical copy, because I've been meaning to read it for so long. But I've been disappointed by so many books that I've picked up because they're similar in various different ways to The Handmaid's Tale, which is one of my favourite books. I've picked up so many that are similar that I've disliked for various different reasons that I was still slightly nervous going into this. But I loved this. I think it's a really good YA modern version of The Handmaid's Tale, basically. I believe this is a trilogy. The second book is coming out later this year, so I cannot wait to see where it's going to go. I loved the characters. Well, not all of them. Some of them were awful, but I loved Eve. I loved a few of the other characters. I loved the complexity of everything that was going on and how well thought out the world was, although I would have liked to have seen a bit more kind of world development. I was left with quite a few questions at the end of this book, but with it being a trilogy, there could be more in the next couple of books, so I'm really not judging this book on that at all, which left me feeling quite happy to give this book 5 stars. And the final book I finished recently was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is a book that I gave a go last year, and for some reason or another I just couldn't get into it. I wasn't in the mood, so I put it down. And I'm so glad that I gave it another go this year because I adored it. I flew through it in comparison this time. Again, listening to the audiobook, I thought it was absolutely fabulous. It was just so magical. The descriptions of the whole magical setting, the world, it was just phenomenal. It was so complex, so in depth. I wasn't left with any questions about the world. Everything was really well explained. The descriptions, like there was this one bit that stuck out in my head. There was descriptions of some food and it made my mouth water. It was amazing. And so I really enjoyed this one too and gave it 4 stars, which is just like happiness to me after the equivalent of DNFing it last year. I knew it wasn't going to be a permanent DNF, but all the same, to go from that to 4 stars is quite an achievement, I think. And it just goes to show that your mood can really affect your reading. So thank you so much to anyone who suggested that I pick this up in the video where I ask you to pick my audiobooks. This one was such a good choice. And that is everything that I read in the previous 2 weeks just gone. It was a fantastic reading time. I mean, full of 4 and 5 star reads. I'm having an amazing reading year this year. That reading week alone has really kind of pushed me into reading even more than what I was then. I feel like I'm spending every spare second that I can reading, which is just a fantastic feeling. I'm reading so many amazing books and I'm so excited to talk to you about them now that I've got my voice back. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you've read any of these books, if you want to discuss them with me in the comments down below, I would love to have a chat with you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me, and I will see you soon. Bye bye!